Welcome back to One Piece and View. This is episode, yes, episode number 23. Starting with this video forward, for the main thing, when I'm reviewing episodes of the actual series, I'm going to stop calling these parts because I've already reviewed every single season up to date prior to reviewing this current season. Now, this is episode, basically, just gonna call this episode number 23. And this one reviewing the 810th episode of the One Piece anime series, and it's called The End of the Adventure, Sanji's Resolute Proposal. Yes. Now there's a few different things going on in this particular episode. I should point out though that this episode is the first time in a couple episodes we've actually seen Chopper and Carrot. Yeah, they were absent last episode, and this episode is an adaptation of the last 6 pages of chapter 845, basically pages 12 through 17. That's it. They don't adapt anything else. They don't adapt pages next chapter. I would have thought maybe they would have done that, but excuse me. Yeah, for some reason, and I don't really get why this is. Seems like right after they did the hour-long episode, I guess they're doing this policy now where it takes 2 full episodes to adapt 16 pages. Well, because the first page is the cover story of these chapters. So at this point, they've already fully adapted chapter 845. Now 882 is the most recent chapter. To get my thoughts on that, watch Special Number 5, Part 1. Well, of course, I talk about 2 of the 4 remaining films. You get my thoughts on that. As of right now, there is roughly about, let's see, 35 plus 2. There's roughly about 37 chapters still left to adapt. Yes, 37 chapters. As for where we're at currently, I don't think that we'll get to that pretty soon. My personal guess is we probably won't get that far, and this is just a theory, probably not until December or January of next year when we get to where we are currently in the manga. But this episode, aside from what's going on with Carrot and Chopper, which they're still in Bristol's mirror world, and I still think she is a female version of Caesar Clown. And she's not the only person to have that strange red-looking nose. One of those soldiers that go after Luffy this episode has the same exact nose, and it's a guy with a clown painted face. Yep. A majority of this episode is Luffy versus this big army, which looks like it's comprised of about 400 soldiers, along with some generals. Yeah. Pretty interesting fighting. Initially, Luffy told Nami to basically get close away from the fight. Then she just came back. Though during the course of the fighting, while she was fighting, she basically got one of her sleeves ripped off, basically showing off her awesome tattoo. And yeah, shows off her awesome tattoo, and she scares off some of the chest soldiers with her Viva card that she got from Lola way back in Thriller Bark, which is something that's been constant, sort of a minor plot thread. It's kind of like Nami's had this thing since Thriller Bark, and it takes until this particular arc to finally have a use for it, because Oda likes to plant stuff seeds. He likes to plant stuff, sets up stuff early in one particular story and explain it several stories later. Kind of like with the whole thing with the Sun Pirates, where the explanation for them is not, even though they first kind of, the symbol first showed up in Arlon Park, they'll explain Amazon Lily, so on and so forth. Oh yeah, and the whole thing with Big Mom, yeah, she was also referenced in Thriller Bark. Yep. But they never mentioned how much of an intimidating woman she is. Now, Big Mom is not in this episode at all. She's absent. Excuse me. Now, the other part of this episode is just Sanji and Pudding just having conversation like they were set up in the previous episode in this private room, and Sanji shows off his ugly face to his fiancée, which he takes out that little, I don't know, what looks like a plastic cover. Looks like it is, like it's some synthetic skin that he was wearing, that he'd been wearing for at least for a few episodes now. In the manga, he wore this for maybe about 2 or 3 chapters before he took it off. But I don't honestly know how long it... Now, I've had a swollen cheek before. It hurts. It really does. And for me, it took me a few days to have that thing fully healed. I got that because I didn't have the thing done properly. Like when I had dental surgery like 10 years ago, I was wearing stuff. I was wearing like a dishcloth with a heated washcloth on my face. It wasn't held on properly, so one of my cheeks got swollen. So I know how he feels basically having swollen cheeks. I've had one of them. It really hurts, and it takes a few days for it to heal. So I sympathize with Sanji basically having that, but having his face look the way it does, I mean, it kind of reminds me also of his the original wanted poster that he had. Yeah, it's a similar style. The way his face looks, it looks almost exactly like the way his the hand drawing photo of Sanji. The one he got after Edo's lobby, and had that wanted poster until Dressrosa. Yep. Though they used a very odd photo for that. And of course they changed the thing only alive. Yeah. And with this episode he agrees to marry Pudding. Yep. And they have a pretty good conversation this episode. Basically the reason why he agreed to do this so that his friends and himself don't get killed, and of course protecting his father figure, Zareth. Zareth, basically, I should point out though, after Bastille, he popped up a few times after that, usually whenever a wanted poster comes out, like the first time when Luffy got his first wanted poster, like when it was first noted for that, he showed up for that. Let's see. He basically, almost any time a new wanted poster comes out, generally a lot of the time he makes a quick little appearance. That's basically one thing with Zareth. And even though he's referenced this episode, he doesn't necessarily make a physical appearance at all. Yeah. So, and there's a little bit of fighting. Of course, Chopper goes into his human form, basically his like when he's like over 6 feet tall with muscles, and he takes on the rabbit soldier. I don't think this character is a mink. Yeah, he looks like a rabbit musketeer. That's what he kind of looks like, and he rides a bird. Yeah. But it was a really good episode, and of course this continues in the next episode. Luffy's still fighting the soldiers. Of course, Luffy gets a chance to use his. He goes to third gear. He goes to second gear. Goes to third gear. He doesn't go to fourth gear because that takes up a lot of hockey, and it takes him roughly about 15 minutes for him to recover his hockey, which it actually is a while. So it's a good thing for this particular fight. He's not using fourth gear, which is good. Using second and third gear is fine because that doesn't use much hockey. The other one, the fourth one, does. But I've heard a rumor going around that Luffy might get a chance to develop a new gear. He might go to a gear 5. That's just a theory that's rolling around right now. I think it's interesting that Luffy might develop a new power during this particular arc. I mean, the last time he used a new power was basically in 2 arcs back in Dressrosa. Yeah. So, yeah, that's really much it. It's actually a really good episode, despite the fact it's just an adaptation of 6 pages, basically extended to 22 minutes. Which, when initially I looked at it before I watched the episode, like, really? 6 pages? Okay, so they just sort of a bit of expansion in a way, but at least got praise the animation for this. They're not rushing it. They're actually taking their time and having more detailed fights, which is great. Though I think starting the next episode, they're finally going to move on to the next chapter, which is chapter 846. Now, who knows how many pages this next episode is going to adapt? I'm hoping that it adapts pretty much the entire chapter next episode, but who knows? It just depends upon what exactly the animators want to do for the next episode. Which next episode is called I'll Wait Here Luffy versus a strange army. Yeah, enlarged army. Yeah. So basically, yeah, next episode he's still fighting the Big Mom's troops in the next episode. But as far as I know, this fight went on for roughly about 3 or 4 chapters in the manga before Sanji met up with him again and gave him some food. So yeah, that's really it for this episode. Um, Next week's episode, I will hopefully talk about basically not only next week's episode, but also the next chapter. Basically, it'll be chapter 883 for the manga. The only reason why I didn't review it for this episode, because I kind of felt as though that the last chapter when it came out, it came out a little bit later than I was expecting. It came out this past Friday, and because I was reviewing the One Piece special, like doing the One Piece special, and I was reviewing the 2 films, I kind of figured though, why not talk about the chapter as well while I'm at it, which didn't seem like a bad idea. But basically, hopefully from this point forward, even though I got one more part of a special to go to talk about the last 2 films of the series, but basically for basically this main part, the episodes, I will talk about basically whatever episode comes out and the manga chapter that comes out the very same week. That so gives my thoughts on it, and that's pretty much what I do forward when it comes to this One Piece and review series. Not necessarily what I'm going to do with in the case of the Baruto one, which I'm going to do that one again in a couple days. That one I'll probably get my thoughts on the recent chapter that just came out, because that one comes out monthly, so that seems like a good time to talk about it because it was actually a pretty dang good chapter. But I will talk about I think it's the chapter 17 of the Baruto manga. I think the most recent chapter came out. Yeah, I think it is. I will get my thoughts on that. Pretty much in the same video, I'm going to talk about episode 30 of the anime and my overall thoughts on it. Alright, so that's it for this episode. Stay tuned for the next episode, which is going to be a Comic Corner, and it's going to be a single shot. Yep, it's only going to be one book to review, because I have no more other trades to review. Nope, no more trades. So until I see you on my next video, bye.